Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way, find a way. Ain't got no time now. You in the way.
Hey, it's Christoph Wrights of the Poet Life Podcast. I am excited on tonight to have a special guest. Her name is Tiffany Williams. How are you, Tiffany?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
I can't complain. I'm really excited, like I said, because I don't know how much you've consumed of the Poet Life Podcast, but I think I've made this reference maybe 10, 15 episodes. And the reference that I'm speaking about is the fact that poets are so much more than their poems. And the specific reference is I give an example of where poets can go with their art, or where companies can get more value out of poets. And I'm speaking about becoming a copywriter.
Yeah.
Right? Because poets are great with words. They're storytellers. Right? And that's what marketing is.
Yep, that's what marketing is.
Right? And so, I know that's going to just like click something in someone's head, whether it's the poet or someone at a company in marketing. We need to go get a poet. Or I'm a poet and I'm great with words, and I think copywriting would be an awesome role. Like, tell me what was the revelation for you to say, because you're a poet too, correct?
Yes, so I am a poet. I have been writing poetry ever since I was 9 years old. It just always was this outlet. I always was walking around with a journal and a pen and just writing stuff down, and I would get triggered by just things as far as inspiration. It used to be that bad. I used to have napkins where I would just write something on just so I could remember when I got back to my book. This is it, and I would just sit and come up with a poem like that. It's not always that easy these days to do that, but when my juices are flowing, they do be flowing, and I'm like popping out poems. So
right. So okay, 9 years old. How did that play out? Where did that come from? What was the inspiration?
I think at 9 years old, I just like to write. So I was I was always smart, kind of a child that retained information very well. So I kind of surpassed a lot of the kids that were my age or my grade level. So I was always in talented and gifted programs. And so, but I was always kind of shy and timid. And I kind of say to myself, I'm naturally an introvert. I typically don't go out just walking other people. I'm like, hey, how you doing? But a lot of people tell me that know me, they're like, you're not an introvert. You're social. I'm like, that's because I'm comfortable with y'all. And now I open up with people that once I found that I'm comfortable with you, and I'm like, okay, I can be myself. So as a child, when you're trying to figure that out, and I had a couple of friends, but we moved a lot. So we moved a lot, unfortunately. I went to a lot of different elementary schools. And so it was just like writing became a constant. Writing became a friend. Writing became just whatever I used to deal with what I could not speak about, not knowing how to address certain things that might have been uncomfortable to me, dealing with my parents. They weren't together growing up. So, channeling and expressing the maybe the anger, frustration of that. Like, why couldn't my home be a 2-parent household like some of the other kids that I, went to school with? I went to a very diverse elementary school at one point where 60% of the population was white or Caucasian. And so It was very mixed. It was in Upper Marlboro, but and so that area was not as like it is today, Upper Marlboro.
Mm-hmm.
So you having to deal with, a lot of Caucasian and Hispanic children and families around. And so it's like, okay, still trying to fit in, still trying to find my lane, still trying to figure out who am I? You know, I have all this stuff to say and I want to be able to get it out. And so that's where I put it at. I put it on the pad.
Wow. Wow. Do you remember one of your early poems?
Probably nothing that probably made any sense or nothing I would probably show anybody. The first poem that I probably, so 9 I was writing. 13 is where I feel like I decided at that point that I was a writer and I wanted to be a
Mm.
writer and I wanted to focus, I wanted to study journalism and I wanted to go to NYU specifically for the School of Arts or Columbia. So that's when I decided like this is the career that I want. And I was chugging along and did broadcasts, like the news broadcast inside of the school and in middle school. So I did the morning announcements, that's what they called it. But that was where I was like, okay, this journalism thing, writing, this is what I want to do. And I wasn't afraid to show people at that point, like what I was writing. And
Mm.
then, so so I do have a book, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. But
Mhm.
I want to say that there are some poems in my book that I wrote right around 13 to 15, and people probably be like, "You wrote that at that age?"
Mhm. Mhm.
Because it was so mature. It was beyond probably what you would think that I would know, but because I'm an intuitive person, because I'm an empath, because I pick up on other people's feelings and emotions and I'm an observer at the same time, I was able to channel what was around me, what I heard people speaking about, what I saw people going through, even adults, hurt, pain, everything. And I was able to use that and say, like, this isn't me, but I don't want this to be me, or I don't want to go down this path, or, what if I went down this path. So I did a lot of writing that was introspective. And then obviously, like I said, focusing a lot on poetry because it was written. It was
Sure.
kismet.
Yeah. Yeah. So from 9 to 13, you kept the poems to yourself. That was your coping
Yeah.
mechanism. That was your release, your outlet.
Yes.
Got it. Got you. Have you saved any of those 9 to 13 poems?
I have a couple of them.
Nice.
I have a
Nice.
couple of them.
I'm so, in hindsight, you're like, man, why didn't I get more organized and, start thinking about the future to where I knew I would want to still have some of the poems that I wrote, you
Mhm.
know, just not thinking about that. You know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah, I mean, we don't tend to think like that back
yeah,
then. We're like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna need this
yeah,
or use this. Like, nobody's really gonna be looking at this. So,
right. I do have some, but the reason why I have those is because I was commissioned to write those for a wedding, funeral, like at a young age.
okay,
I was writing, I was writing, I started writing it in first grade,
first grade.
right? So
Okay.
I guess that makes me 6 at that time. And, for those who, in my family passed away, um, I was that poet to write that obituary poem in the back of the,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know. And so I think, man, it's so crazy. Now that I think about it, I think I wrote the poem for my father's funeral, my grandfather, my uncle. Like it's wild to think back And to know that poetry is that powerful that, you know, people will want you to give the words that most
Mm-hmm.
people can't say. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it as that was their eulogy. You know, when I was writing it, and
Right.
it's just so interesting looking back.
But you were used. God
Yes,
was using you
vessel.
to speak for these people, like you said, who couldn't put the words together, but you sat with them and you talked about,
Yeah,
or you knew that person because that was your loved one, and you knew all the fond memories and things that you could relate that. And it was just a blessing in that moment, because I think when people are going through grief, and then when they're there at the funeral, I just recently, a good friend of mine, I call her my sister, my big sister. She just recently lost her son,
mm,
and we just buried him like almost a couple of weeks ago. And she's still going through it right now, going through a hard time. But it. I was there, and every moment I talk to her, I tell her, and I just try to share a word, and she didn't want to nothing really fancy at the
mm,
funeral. She didn't want to make a big fuss, but I told her, I said, if you let me know, because
right.
I know how you felt about your son. I know the words that you can't get out right now. So I would have did that in her honor and in his memory, of course. So.
Man, you bring that up. A friend of mine from college called me out the blue or Facebook me, I'm not sure, and said, "Can we talk?" And she said, "You know, I lost my son 2 days after birth," and I was like, "Wow." And so she thought of me, you know, because I used to, you know, do the open mics at my school, and she knew everybody knew I was a poet. You know,
Mhm.
when I was younger and Black Planet was a thing,
Oh
my
wow, Black
my
Planet.
page, my page name,
You're
and
showing your age right now. You're
this,
showing your
I know,
age.
right? I know, and this is probably all ego, but my page name was Hazel Eyed Poet. And but she knew that I wrote poetry, and she knew I could, you know, translate, you know, how she was feeling and everything. And so I was like, that's a heavy one.
Yeah.
That's a heavy one, you know. And so I said, okay, all right. What I need you to do is, you know, it's going to be very hard, but I need you to just talk and tell me about, sorry, daughter. Tell me about your daughter. And she just started, you know, pouring out. She was crying the entire time, you know, and it was hard, you know, but I knew it was an assignment for me, and I was able to do it, and I was able to do it in her child's voice, you know, as the child,
Okay.
and so when she reads it, it's like she's talking to her daughter,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
or her daughter's talking to her.
Okay, to her. Mhm.
Right, right, yeah,
Which is good, and that that's comforting too, because a lot of parents, when you lose a child, like I said, fortunately, I don't know what that feels like to lose a child, but I can only imagine
mm,
if I ever lost either one of my sons, what that would feel like. But sometimes you just get stuck and you don't know how to go forward.
yeah,
You don't you feel like you don't want to go forward without them. You don't want to live life. You don't want to be happy sometimes.
right,
That's all in grief. You're like, how can I be happy tomorrow if they're not
yeah,
here? How can I?
yeah,
So
yeah,
you saying that, like putting it in the child's voice, and to like, this is what I want you to do, mom. This is helping. This is what I want to see for you. I want your life to keep moving even though I'm not here. Um, that's something that can move them out of that place. because, like I said, they get stuck there, and I'm trying my best to make sure my friend doesn't dwell on, the past and what was, but what could be. She still has 2 sons that are living. She got to live for them, and you live through them, to keep promoting your son who's not here. Y'all keep promoting his legacy. Do it for him. He would have wanted you to. So.
Yeah. My best friend lost his daughter at. I'm not trying to make this a real sad podcast, but it's it's just real life situations. 10 months, and that was it still is super tough. So it just goes to tell you that, or goes to show you that poetry is just powerful and very impactful, and it's necessary. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So your journey, so you went into journalism. So how did you make that tie? Is it because it's simply writing, or why journalism?
So obviously I was like, yeah, I do creative writing. I'm a poet, and I come up with obviously these fictional stories because I was writing stories back then. I was writing screenplays that I wanted. I thought I was going to write plays and be a screenwriter, and so I knew that there was obviously money to be made in these, writing for TV and stuff. But I also knew that the competition level of that, right? How many people actually get in the door to do that? Number one. Then obviously, how many African Americans get in the door to do that sometimes? So you got to talk about when you're writing for TV and getting into those credits, just how much harder that might be. And so I was like, okay, well, journalism was good, and I was interested in, but it was a little bit more or less risky. And so it was like, okay, we'll go the journalism route and then go over here. Still not giving up, obviously, writing for TV and poetry and all that stuff, but let's just go where some money can be made. Like, that's a more lucrative career, right? But like I said, I didn't get into my dream schools. And then at the time, I think what happens, obviously, as when you're a teenager, you're coming up and you get close to that phase of when you're about to graduate, and you're expecting this next level, this phase. But then you have to be realistic as to what your parents can afford. What's being saved for you to go to school. And so I was raised by a phenomenal woman, my mom, but she was a single mom. And so, she carried all of that financial burden to make sure that we were pretty much, me and my sister were raised well. We never wanted for nothing. And for me, I did not want to put my mother through any more struggle to have to figure out how to put me through school. And so I took ownership of that. I took my career and my life back, and like, okay, I want to do this. I want to help do this. And I did go to school. I went to Morgan State. The Morgan State Bears. Went to Morgan State first year. It was great. I love, it's something about an HBCU. I could talk about HBCUs all day long. Love them, very proud of them, for what they're here to do, to support the education and advancement of Black people. And I would want both of my children to go to HBCUs if that could obviously make them, but their choice.
Right.
But I love Morgan, and I went there, and a lot of my friends went there because I graduated from Potomac High School in Oxon Hill, Maryland, but I went to Suitland High School for the first 3 years, from 9th grade to 11th grade. So everybody that I knew from Suitland High School, Potomac High School, was right there at Morgan State. Okay, it's not far, it's right in Baltimore. So we up there, and I'm like, okay, all my friends are here. It's fun, but I wasn't able to stay on campus. So I commuted. I commuted from my part of Maryland up to Baltimore every day to go to classes. That was, it was hard.
I'm sure.
It was hard. I always tell
Like you
anybody
going to work.
now, I'm like, first thing as a new freshman, if I was to talk to the graduating class of 2021, I would tell them, do not sign up for an 8 o'clock class. Don't even do it. Like, don't do it. I signed up for an 8 o'clock class and had to commute. Okay? So
Wow.
I set myself up horribly. But yeah, so I was late a lot of times. But I got there, and then, like I said, I did my classes. But then came after classes, I couldn't stay because I didn't live up there. So now everybody's getting out of their classes. Everybody's going to the quad, and people are meeting over at the dorms and all this stuff. And I'm like, I got to go to work at Shoe City in Iverson Mall. Man, I can't even hang, right?
Right. Right.
So it was just, it was a little difficult. And
Yeah.
I think that journey kind of took a lot out of me. It took a lot. And then I was just like, okay, this is a little rough, right? I need to go get some money. I need to find vehicles or vessels to pay for this education, so we ain't got to pay for it, right?
Right.
And then I was contacted. I was recruited to join the service, and I come from a very long line of military family. Most of the men on my mother's side of the family have served in various parts of the military. So, grandfather retired command sergeant major from the Army. I have a lot of Army, a lot of Marines, a lot of Navy. My dad was in the Army as well, and got out of. He did 8 years and got out. So I was like, it's pretty much there. But I was the first girl. I was the first girl in the family to ever go. So my grandfather, of course, was like, "Are you sure?" And he gave me the pep talk because he's, command sergeant major, so he done went through all those ranks. He done seen what it's like, and he looking at me like, "Okay, granddaughter, you got the grit." Look, he told me to grit, grawl, and bear. That was his words, and I was just like, "Okay," but I needed it. I needed it because there were times where they break you down and build you back up. In theory, that's what they say. But there were times I was like, "Why did I sign up for this?" And I just had to keep that on my brain. Army.
Okay.
So,
okay.
U.S. Army, Human Resource Specialist. So then that's when my world turned from writing into still writing, but just paperwork. So at this point now I'm like in admin lane, and still obviously got that urge to still keep writing. So it's been interesting.
So in journalism, did you write for your school newspaper?
I did not write for the school newspaper. I did write when I got to Morgan though for their paper.
Gotcha. Okay. What was the name of your school newspaper?
I don't think we had a school newspaper.
Okay.
Not in high school. No.
What about for college? Do you remember the name?
I don't right now. I don't.
High school, ours was the Springbrook Blueprint. And for college, I wrote for both. The Spartan Echo. Yeah, we're the Spartans. Yeah. So I do remember, but in high school, what was my lane in high school? All I remember for the most part in high school, I might have done sports, I don't know. But when February came, because I went to a predominantly white high school. And so when February came, everybody looked at me. All right, so what are we doing for this month?
Yeah, right. Why you had to be the spokesperson for Black History though?
Yeah, man,
I
So
would have been like,
interesting.
what we doing for this month? It sounds like y'all need to go study and
Right.
research what
Exactly.
y'all doing, what we doing for this month.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So HR, right? So, but where or how did you know about copywriting and marketing in that way to
Okay.
incorporate your poetically
Mm-hmm.
your poetry writing? Like, how did you kind of tie that together?
So even back in high school, I used to do this thing. Um, I used to come up with like jingles and like little small advertising slogans, like fictitious products or something like that. I would just so I sing as well. And
Okay.
so I would just come up with like little stuff and I'd be like little jingles or commercials would come on and I'm like, this is interesting. And then when I found out people get paid to, write this stuff and I was like, this is cool, this is something good. So I just always was like looking at different ways to monetize writing and because I'm a believer in that doing what you want in life, the things that you're passionate about, it becomes it doesn't seem like work. You'll want to
Right.
do it, right?
Right.
And if you can get paid to do it, then, obviously why not? And it's like you're having fun all day because you're passionate about doing this. You're an advocate about stuff that you believe in. And so that's the thing about, like we said, tapping into what you're already gifted to do, what is
Right.
already in you, it's within you. If you have a gift for words and, that's you need to use that. You need to figure out how to use that because my favorite reference in a movie is Sister Act 2, where she tells when Whoopi tells Lauryn Hill's character that, whatever you wake up, the first thing you think about in the morning, that's what you're supposed to be. I wake up thinking
Right.
about writing. If it's not writing, it's singing. So I knew at the end of the day, these are my passions. This is the first thing
Mm.
I wake up wanting to do. This is the last thing I want to do before I go to bed.
Hmm. I believe that your passion is uniquely tied to your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because just think about the gifts and the reason why you were brought to this earth. And you would think that God would make you passionate about your assignment,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your passions are most likely tied to the assignment on your
Yeah,
life.
the assignment on your life. Mm-hmm.
Right. Because
Everybody has one.
he wouldn't, if you have an assignment, he wouldn't like not have that assignment tied to something that you don't like or, that you're not enthusiastic about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's how I liken it to be. And, I want to spend most of my time with my assignment, man, because in life you just don't know. You don't know when your last day is, and for me, the biggest thing is, God forbid if I left here tomorrow, I did everything that I could today and tomorrow that would allow me to leave this place comfortable in knowing that
Perfect.
I
Mm-hmm.
pursued my passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No regrets.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, so what are you doing with the copywriting? How are
So
you?
right now,
Okay, is this a service
yeah.
that you provide?
So I do. So
Mm.
I founded my company back in 2018, December 2018 is my founder date for Own Your Mark Media, and Own Your Mark Media was the where I wanted to obviously utilize my gift as far as with words and storytelling to help small business owners and entrepreneurs and obviously creators with copywriting because copywriting is its own. It has a specific technique because
Mm.
you're using words to pretty much get people to do something, to perform an action, whether that is to buy into something, to click a button, to go to a landing page, whatever you're creating a call to action, a CTA, that's what we call it in copywriting land, and you're trying to get that person to do that action. And there's a lot of different things you have to do before you get there, because what people tend to do in sales, we know that it takes sometimes a person to see something 30 times before they will do it. So you got to keep putting it in front of them. You have to find different strategies. You have to kind of, put the ads up. Like they say, some people feel like Facebook is watching them, because as soon as you go searching for something, what pops up on your timeline? That thing you were searching, right? Or you could be talking about something and you like, is my phone listening to me? Because it pops up in your timeline. But this is advertising, this is marketing, but this is also, you stop sometimes and you look at those ads, because there's something in that wording that triggers you in your mind psychologically to make you read more until you get down to the bottom, and then you're like, I'm gonna click it. I want to learn more. I want to see what else is there. And that's copywriting. So that is what we do. That is what my company does, that I founded. And I enjoy working with people. I enjoy working with creatives. For me, I want your brand to shine, because I talk to different CEOs and owners, and they talk about their brand. I get excited. I get excited because they're excited. And so it's like a transfer of energy. It's like, I'm ready to start today. And of course, my creative juices are going even in the first discovery call or first consultation meeting. And our consultations are free. And that's just for me to figure out exactly what you need, because obviously as a subject matter expert, you might not even know what you need. But from that conversation, I can say, this is what you need to do now. This is what you need to do next. And you can probably hold off and do this at a later date. So I'm giving you a plan. And then obviously, and I'm working it with you throughout, coaching, consulting, and helping you get there to where you want to see your business and growth. And so, we have goals, talking about mindset, getting people motivated to do the work, because we want good, like I said, we want good outcomes. So when you come to me, you get dedication, first and foremost, because I'm a personable person. When we meet, we're going to be like best friends, because you're going to get my dedication. I'm going to follow up. I'm going to make sure you're doing what we said you were going to do. And, just keep encouraging and throughout the process.
Got it. So I am a testament to all of what she's saying. Reason why is, I set this up, this moment here, because we hired Tiffany, the Poet Life hired Tiffany for the copywriting and the content creation for the promotion of the Poet Life Fest that will be July 24th in DC. Yes, very excited about that. And she's doing an awesome job already. And she literally just came on board. And so she's making me excited about it, because, she's taking so much off of my plate. I've been planning and hosting, well, not hosting, but planning events for years. And for the most part, it's kind of like been me, just, and I'm learning to delegate and learning how to build a team. And she's making my job so much easier. I'm able to simply just have a conversation with her like we're doing now and share with her my vision for the Poet Life Fest. And she's already thinking the way I'm thinking. And it's dope to see. It's awesome to see. And, and so when I brought you on, I was like, I need to also bring her on to the podcast, because like I said, I've been saying this for the longest, that, man, poets are so much more than their poems. If they only knew that, I know some know, but some don't realize the value in their art. and how many lanes it could work in, you know, and copywriting is definitely one of them, because it's writing poetically written.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And poetry encourages you to feel a way, you know, whether it's romantically or emotionally, spiritually, so
it's about connection.
I'm telling you,
you're tapping into the connection, because even if you're talking
it makes you move.
romantically, your target audience, because it's we're going in marketing. You always, before you market something, you're thinking, who's my target audience?
Right.
Who is my buyer? What is my buyer persona? And when you're writing a poem, you have to choose a target audience, whether it be, a man. If you're a woman, you want to write a love letter. You're like, I just want to tell this man exactly how I'm feeling, right?
Right.
You're like, I want it to come off the page. I want him to receive it,
Right.
That's that. Or if you want, like I said, you want to write a love poem and you want couples to enjoy it. You want people to reshare it and be like, I read this and I thought about you, babe. Or I thought about you, honey. Or, I want to dedicate this poem to this person. So, I mean, all of that, your target audience, you've already solidified who that was. And now you got to put the words together in order to connect to them. And so as a poet, all you are doing in other lanes when it comes to writing is just finding that connection.
Wow. Wow.
I have a slogan for my company, and it says, "A mark together lasts forever." That's our slogan at Own Your Mark Media. And for me, that means that any client that I work with, a mark together, whatever mark we do on this page, we're owning it. That's why it's called Own Your Mark. We are owning our mark in society. We're owning our mark as creators, as authors, as poets. And we're saying, this is my stamp that I'm putting on it. And I take that with my clients that I work with, saying, you are owning your mark. And whatever we do together is making a lasting impression.
Wow. Wow. I noticed you have poet in your bio description. Was that strategic to let your clients know that you have that skill set? Because poetry is a skill.
Yeah, that was strategic, because I think, that sets me apart from other copywriters, because other copywriters, obviously, they like, oh, I'm formally trained. I went to this school. I went to that. And like I said, don't get me wrong. I went to school. I have a business degree. I have a bachelor's in business, and I have a concentration in entrepreneurship, digital entrepreneurship, and marketing. And I wanted to get all that because, I wanted to do business, but I wanted to do business and learn about this age of business, not back then what we used to do, and specifically digital online business, and then marketing online. So I wanted that because I already knew how to write. I just wanted to learn, obviously, the marketing aspects of it too. So you go to school and you pay for, in my opinion, you pay for what you don't already know, not something that you do know. Something that's innate within you that it can't be taught. You want to add things around that to kind of polish up your skill set. And so, like I said, that sets me apart from other copywriters, because I have that skill as a poet, because I already know imagery and metaphors and, how to use similes and all that stuff. I know all that. It's not just basic grammar. I know how to tailor words. So, yes, I put that in there strategically because I want people to know, like, I have more of a portfolio, especially when you're starting out a business, and someone sees that you're under 5 years old. You know what I mean? Because they think that you're not credible at what you're doing. And it's like, well, I have some credibility. I know what I'm talking about.
Wow. Right. Because even though your business might be 5 years old, you've been writing poetry for so much longer.
Yeah.
So you can, so you can add the
I can
years.
add that here. Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Mm-hmm.
see. Yeah, you're giving so much depth to poetry now.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. Wow. Wow. Okay. I can see it a lot clearer now. I know I've been mentioning it, but never really had the in-depth conversation about how poets can go into copywriting, not only copywriting, but also technical writing as well.
Technical writing as well. Yep. You can decide to um you can decide to write people's dissertation essays, when they get up there to the graduate level and stuff like that. If you're a technical writer, there's definitely a lot um of money in technical writing because it takes you
Mm-hmm.
to have to learn
Mm-hmm.
different things. So you gotta follow guidelines and structure. And that's
Right.
something that a lot of people don't like to be boxed in, but I mean if you learn how to do that and still do your poetry where you can be unboxed, you can be
Right.
out there free, say what you want, how you want to put it. But then in this other lane, got some rules, some structure you gotta follow. But again, that's money. It's money in our pocket because these people don't want to do this. They don't want to write this. They're like,
Right.
I'd rather give it to somebody else to write. And you can be just doing technical writing.
Wow. Wow. That's eye-opening right there. That is eye-opening. So how do you feel about how things are going with the planning process of the Poet Life Fest?
I think so far, I think we have an amazing team. Like even after the conversation tonight, it was definitely you can see everybody is very knowledgeable and
Mm-hmm.
and hold their role, and so we were just over talking to each other, and it was like this
Mm-hmm.
person speak, and then the next person was before you even had to ask them to chime in and say something. It was like, oh yeah, I got
Yep.
that, or I
Yep.
thought about that. So it was just going back and forth, and it was good to see. It's great to be a part of. I'm so
Mm.
excited to go out there and see the site this week, so I can see where everything's going to be housed and
Totally.
get that vision. But we ready. Like I just hope
Yeah.
everybody else is ready. I hope
I'm
they ready for
telling
what we about to put down in DC because
you.
DC ain't had a festival in a
Ah,
minute, and right now this pandemic, people want to get out, and I want to say to everybody that's going to come out, we got to come out, but we got to come out safely.
right.
Do whatever it is you need to do to police yourself. Make sure you're safe out here. COVID is not gone, but
No.
we can, go out safely and be a part of this and bring your family. Like I said,
Yes.
it's going to be amazing. I'm already expecting a big turnout because we're going to push. We're going to
Push.
push until we can't push no more.
I'm
And
telling you.
I'm definitely going to be in the building.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so exciting, to create something. That makes you feel good, and to know that people will appreciate what you've created, right? And that goes the same with your poem that you wrote or the idea that you had to transition or transcend to another form of writing where you stemmed from poetry. That's an accomplishment. It's a major accomplishment because for the longest, as we know, so many people believe in poets. Some poets believe it as well, or believed it before this podcast, that there's no money in poetry, right? Because they didn't really see anybody. They know amazing poets, but they didn't really see them succeed financially, career wise, and it is our mission to highlight and bolster poets who have really taken it to the next level,
Mhm.
and coming on to the show to break it down
and give tutelage on how you can do it as well. It's so possible, it's so possible, and it is amazing. I want to read one of the comments that I received on YouTube. Let me see. So, season 2, episode 2 with Bianca Jackson. She talked about, and she's not even a poet, but she's a LinkedIn expert. And she was explaining, she came on as a LinkedIn expert. And my thought pattern behind reaching out to her was, okay, she's not a poet. However, she can shed light on how to grow your brand, how to grow your brand as a poet on LinkedIn. Right. And so she shared and said, do you understand? Like, okay, you're a professional poet, right? And LinkedIn is for professionals, right? I was like, oh, well, I never put 2 and 2 together, because in my mind, LinkedIn was a digital resume database.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But and things change. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like this untapped way to use LinkedIn. And trust me, I'm still learning, LinkedIn. But it's definitely something that when, I talk to people I know in marketing, they're like, LinkedIn is where it's at when it comes to getting clients, when it comes to networking, anything that becomes a tool for networking in the masses. And that's what's like right now, the new thing is Clubhouse. And Clubhouse was explicit to just iPhone users at once. Android users weren't able to get into Clubhouse. So you got a lot of people not having access. But now, since the opportunity is open up to have access, I'm in Clubhouse. And one night of being on there, I was like, this is going to be my new addiction. Like, I can't stay out of these rooms. I went in a poetry room one night, and the creativity, this one guy came to the stage and he did a poem that was phenomenal. I was sitting in my bed. I was like, it is after midnight and I'm still in this room, but I can't leave it, because as a poet, as an artist, you like, wow. I want to know who next. Who's got next, And then they called me up and they were like, I know you knew, do you want to say something? I'm like, I'm feeling the vibes right now. I sure did. I pulled out one of my poems, and I brand new. But they were very receiving. They were very open. They were like, this is a safe space, and you felt that. And a lot of rooms that I've been into, it has been safe spaces. There's been a lot of networking. One of the Clubhouse rooms I was in is called Collab Couch. People are just talking about, I got this going on, and people are popping in saying, oh, I might can help you with that. And it's free collaboration. Why wouldn't you want to be in that room?
Wow.
So LinkedIn is like, going back to LinkedIn though, LinkedIn is like that as far as it's networking, and you can use that to forward your brand. And I think, like you said, poets don't realize that it is you're a brand. You are the brand, the face of the brand. Even as a company, my company, Own Your Mark Media, but I'm in the front of it.
Right.
As a founder, it's still me.
Right.
I gotta show up. This is the face that they're gonna get in the videos. This is the face they're gonna see on the videos or whatever I create as far as content, educating people on, what is the best way to kill, to write killer headlines in copy.
Yeah.
How do you get people to open up those emails? What do you need to say in that email subject line that makes it through all the emails that they're going to get in that one day?
Wow.
Right? So a lot of people don't know that. So like I said, but you use that, you go to LinkedIn, you put that video up, and now the professionals are there. So as a poet, go ahead and record yourself.
Right.
Record yourself doing one of your best poems. put that on LinkedIn. Give an awesome bio. If you need help, hire a copywriter to put together an awesome bio, right? And then from there, people will be knocking down your doors saying they got this going on, and you will be a perfect fit because they couldn't turn you off. They couldn't turn your video off, or they couldn't stop from listening to you. And that's what they want to forward their brand. So you need to do that. If you're not doing that, you need to do that right now. Go to LinkedIn, right now.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I did after the episode was over. You know, we record at night. It's 10:10 right now, PM. And I did not go to sleep that night because I was creating I already had a personal page, right, with my 9-to-5 resume and all of that, you know. But then because she broke it down, she was like, if you don't want to mix and mingle your corporate, your 9-to-5 with your art, create a separate page.
Yeah.
And that was freeing, you know. And so I was creating my page, and as an artist, you also have the feature to create a portfolio on your page, so you can post photos and videos of, you know, past performances. And I was like, man, this is great, man. And the engagement is more purposeful on LinkedIn. You know, a lot of times on Facebook, everybody's just, you know, kind of playing around and posting goofy stuff. But on LinkedIn, it's more intentional. Like, people are like literally looking for deals and business partners and stuff like that, you know? So yeah, I liken LinkedIn to be like the Facebook for professionals.
Right.
You know, you literally could just be inboxing or DMing, I should say, a CEO of a company and have a conversation like it's nothing on LinkedIn. It's wild. So I encourage you who is listening or watching, like Young Blood Poetry. He was one of our guests a couple of episodes ago, and one of his comments on Red Lions episode, he said, I also got on LinkedIn because Miss Jackson's episode on the Poet Life podcast. And so, you know, a lot of people just don't know, and what you don't know, you just don't know, you know. So I'm so glad we have this platform to just, you know, kind of shine some light on some techniques that you all can take and you know, really put into work and put into play for your brand. And this information here is grand. This information here concerning copywriting, you know, content creation. Let's go there for a second.
Okay.
Did you incorporate content creation around the same time, or how did that come into play?
So when I first started out the company, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do social media management services, done for you services, and content creation kind of goes with that, because obviously when you're managing other people's profiles, you have to create some content. So that was the intention. And then I was like, okay, I'll do copywriting, because copywriting is a little different than content creation, because it's not just social media posts. You're doing sales pages, you're doing ads, so Facebook ads, Instagram ads. That's copy, website copy. So then content creation kind of just lives in the social media post. But I like content creation because even though my graphic designing skills are basic to intermediate, I'm not like a rock star graphic designer, although I do have one on my team that can do amazing things. Shout out to Courtney. But you know, and together we work together very well. But you know, she helps in that, but I go and create the content based on what that brand, based off that brand's feel, their mood board. I go ahead and create the content, and it's like, okay, this is the type of stuff that is going to get engagement. This is going to get people to like posts, whether or not we're doing a poll post, whether we're doing stories or creating content for Instagram stories. So I first want to also say, as a marketer or digital marketer as well, that every platform is not for every brand. So you have to figure out what platforms are going to be for your brand. I always suggest people to start out with 2, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself with trying to do every single platform that's out there. You're trying to have a Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube channel. You're going to get burnt out very fast. It's better to do something to manage 1 to 2 things and do it very well and do it successfully and execute on that until you can do the other one. Right. Because you only really need one, and if you do it well enough and you follow, the different type of strategies, you build a content marketing plan, when you're going to schedule and when you're going to post, what type of post is it going to be? Is it going to be a tip that you're giving? Are you going to use a quote? And then obviously create the copy around that quote that you found that is so motivating to you or powerful, and you feel like, I need to say something to this because it connected with me. If you connect with that content and this is where the writing comes in, and then you make other people connect with that message. And that's what it is. So I think, like I said, content creation, I love it, because honestly, I could come up with a content calendar for a brand of what they're going to do for an entire month in like a couple of days. Because once you learn how to do it, then you start thinking like, okay, we have these funny names of marketing like Tip Tuesday, Throwback Thursday, all this stuff. But these are things that trend in the social media marketing platform. It's like, okay, use that. Throwback Thursday. Go back to one of your past performances, and you could tell that person, copy tip. I go all in on in the stay tuned to five minutes and 0.35 seconds. I'm gonna hit y'all with a dope line at that part. You know what you just did? You just told this person to stay on your video until they get to that point, because they want to know what dope line what are you talking about? Right. I want to hear that. Or they're gonna fast forward a little bit. But either way, social media, Facebook in particular, they have an algorithm that calculates views of video. 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Right? So you're trying to get that person to watch that video for that long, to where it creates engagement. And then that person starts seeing more videos, and then they're like, okay, I got to give it to them. Every video I don't watch is good. Right? So, I mean, you gotta pay attention to what you need to do, how you need to tap into that with your instrument as a writer, as a poet. And it can be done.
Do you suggest, if a poet wants to go into copywriting, for them to take a class, study on YouTube? What do you think? What's the best way? Or what's one way?
I honestly, I think the courses of the world have showed us that you don't have to go to a formal education. You definitely need to find a course that's reputable, credible, and I would go that lane. Finding a course and to take that allows you also to do have hands-on experience, because what you want to do is, first of all, in order to perfect this, you're going to have to practice. Your first copy is not going to be great. If you want to take somebody else reading it, you need to read it back, like reread it yourself, but then obviously get some other eyes on it and actually test whether or not it successfully got people to do what you wanted them to do. So we call that also in the test world of copy, we call it A/B testing, split testing.
Okay.
So we do that with emails. You send out a email to one specific group of people, and then you change the email up a little bit, and you send out a different version to another group, and you test which one was better. They both have CTAs, but the CTA might be different. There might be, the button might say something different. It might say book now, or it might say learn more, and you want to know which call button works better, what color works better. Was it better with the copy centered, or was it better with it line adjusted? I mean, it's different things that you can tailor to that piece to see what the engagement rate is, because you want to look at open rate, click rate, all that stuff.
Right. Oh, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. So basically, invest in yourself, invest in your art, invest in your. I want poets to really start saying poetry career.
Yeah.
I say this often as well. A singer is going to say their singing career.
Mm-hmm.
Even the worst of rappers will say, I'm working on my rap career. Very rare, or if ever, you will hear a poet say, my poetry career.
Mm-hmm.
And I want poets to own that and know that they can build a career in poetry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if it's taking this lane, what you're doing is disrupting other lanes with poetry positively, you know, and poetry has so much value. You just kind of have to analyze it and say, okay, what is poetry really? It's puzzle piecing with words. It's storytelling. Okay, what other industry works with words like that?
Mm-hmm.
Marketing and
advertising,
speech writing.
There you go.
When you really start to break it down, you're like, man, I have so many paths I can
Grant
take.
writing.
That's
another, which everybody cannot do. But if you can figure out how to get people to invest, you know, to put money into something, that's a power. You know, that is a power, especially that type of money, fundraising money, you know.
Wow. It's like you said, like there are websites that offer courses for like $10, $5. Udemy.org.
Udemy.
Udemy or Udemy.com or .org?
It's .org.
Okay. UDEMY.org. And literally you can type in the subject, skill, whatever it is that you want to learn. And there are subject matter experts that are teaching those virtual courses.
Yep. And I will have one as well.
Really?
Yes, I am. I'm building out a course right now, copywriting one-on-one course. So just to give people, you know, that can't, you know, maybe can't afford to hire a copywriter, want to do it yourself, you know, kind of start giving you the tips and some tricks of what you can do to start. But like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. You're not going to sit there and be like, oh, it's just going to come out right the first time. A lot of people get frustrated, which is why people hire people to do it. I try to be affordable as well, because I understand, you know, sometimes you don't always have X amount of dollars, because I am still an artist as well. You know, I'm a mom. I still work, you know, I still got bills to pay like everybody else. So you want to invest in your art. You will definitely want to invest in the stuff that's going to make you more money. And that's the thing. Your tool is going to make you more money. So you want to invest in that. Invest in your poetry. It's a career. And then it'll start paying back what you put into it. You know,
Right.
the money, the blood, the sweat, the tears, all that good stuff,
Right.
that time. So when you don't have money, what I always tell people, you have time. You always have time. People make time for what is important to them.
Right.
There has been a lot of sleepless nights that I've probably had for going to school as a single mom with 2 kids, staying up till 2 a.m, doing some research papers, you know, after I put my kids to bed, and sometimes I had one on me. My youngest son used to want to lay on me like a koala bear, and I'm sitting there holding him while still typing and doing a paper because I wanted that degree. Because I said I was going back to school and I wasn't stopping and I was going through, and I got my degree. And then after that, I said within 1 year after getting out of school, I'm gonna go ahead and start my startup. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm gonna hit the ground running. And I'm just use my time because I might not have that much money, but I can create a Facebook page. I can do a logo, even if it's simple, starting out.
Right.
Go to Canva.
Right.
Do a logo. Canva costs $12 a month. $12 a month for you to create stuff that you can use to put on social media. So,
and it looks professional. Canva.com, Canva.com, or even if you want somebody else to do it, go to Fiverr.com.
Fiverr, yes.
Fiverr, it's 2 R's.com, and have somebody do it for $20.
Yep.
Like Upwork.com, Upwork.com. Like it's ridiculous how professional you can make your brand with a little bit of money. You know, and who doesn't know a graphic designer? Like you have friends who do it. So it's really no excuse. You know, you need to put the effort into it, and put some pride into it. Like you said, this is what you love to do. You gotta show people. They have to see that, like, this guy, this girl, she's serious about what she's doing. She's taking it to the next level. Right. And I'll say this as well. There's no poetry industry if there's only like 4 or 5 poets doing it. If there's only like 4 or 5 poets winning, if you can only think of 4 or 5 poets taking it to the next level, then, even less people on the outside of poetry see it. And in their mind, there is no poetry industry. And so, right, they'll just get anybody for their event. But what if they thought of you when they saw your professionalism, the fact that you got a resume, you got business cards, like you said, you have to stand out. And I saw that in your, I can't remember which bio, but I saw that in your bio. I think it was Facebook. The fact that you put that you do your this title, I'm a poet. I was like, okay, all right, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So, and the fact that you said, if your business, doesn't have a lot of years to it, the fact that you're a poet adds to those years. That's good. That's really good. That's good. That's good stuff. Where do you see yourself, in the next few years? Where are you taking your art? Where are you taking your business?
Oh, wow. So art-wise, art-wise, I have an anthology coming out this summer in August. So me and it's 90 of us, 90 authors, co-authors are going to be in this Finding Joy in the Journey Volume 2. The visionary author is Vernessa Blackwell. She put this together for us. And it's, like I said, talking about difficult times. There's going to be a lot of devotionals in it. So people are writing on stuff like grief and loss. My addition to it, I could have did a devotional that was a memoir or something, but I decided to do a poem. So
Mm-hmm.
I went all in on this poem, y'all. Like this is a personal topic, and this it's something that I don't talk about often, but I wanted to put it out there. It was a vulnerable moment for me, but I say, my readers should hear this. They need to hear this. This is going to touch somebody, right? And so I put that in a poem. So I'm excited about that project coming out in August. If you follow me on any of my socials in the next week or two, I will start having some promo materials for that. So where you can obviously go and start pre-ordering. Obviously pre-order through me. It's going to be great. I am rebranding my website right now for my author and poetry brand. My publishing imprint, Honestly Enticing Reads. That is the imprint in which I write under. I have a lot of things I want to see for that, which I want to develop and work with other authors who want to self-publish, provide some consulting and coaching, dealing with character development, plot, outlining their plots, kind of filling up the holes, talking about editing. A lot of people don't know what developmental editing or line editing is, so breaking that down so people can have a clear idea of that and just get knowledge, just educate, and then help, obviously, more people in this industry. I am a proponent for sharing Black stories that are compelling, full of heart, that are enticing, hence the name, Honestly Enticing Reads, but obviously share the love that, that is of our culture, all the good things about being, in this skin and embracing, especially in this current climate of the world, there's a lot of things that are happening to Black people, a lot of things, that we just wake up, you see the headlines, you see, another person shot, another police brutality situation. And and as a mother of two sons, my prince, it does hit home and it hits hard because I'm like, I want the world to stop seeing us in this way. But I also want us to start seeing ourselves in positive ways and push that forward, And so I have a lot of good things for that. As far as my business, Own Your Mark Media, I'm just growing it. I want to work with amazing talents. I want to put together, just propel brands to their next level because there's room at the top for everybody. And I want to be a part of, some of the amazing things that are going to happen. So I'm pushing along with that. And I think, like I said, for me, any progress is always good. It's success. Success is measured different for some people. For me, it's, if I'm successful, that means that I was able to pour my passion, my expertise into something. I was also able to have time with my family, with my kids, be able to be flexible for them. So, I just want relaxation, and everything I do most of the time, I just want to wake up and be like, yeah, I want to do this today. I want to do this today. Make your own rules. And that's when I learned that I had the entrepreneurial spirit very early in age when I realized, like, I want to set my own rules. Well, I got to, work for somebody and they tell me what to do or, I mean, we all got to start there. But when you start realizing, like, hey, if you want to be an entrepreneur, that doesn't mean that you're just going to have days where you don't do nothing.
Right.
That's not what that means. That entrepreneur work schedule is completely different. You could be right now as we sitting here at 10:30 at night working on something, and when I get off of here, because I still got some energy left in me, I'm about to go hop on and do some work, until I'm tired. But I don't have to start my day early tomorrow if I didn't want to. I could take my meetings at 10 o'clock or something like that. So you choose when you work or how you work. And that's about being an entrepreneur. But you still got to put in the work.
Totally.
If you want to grow, you got to put in the work.
Especially at the outset, especially at the front of it,
Always.
Most definitely. Man, Tiffany, thank you so much for joining me tonight, even right after our planning meeting. Literally.
Yes.
It's like, I'll see you on the
Yeah,
podcast.
it was like 10 minutes give me 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Get on the camera, get in the
Yeah.
camera for you guys, because I promise to do more. I'm so bad at going live sometimes. Like I don't go live nearly enough.
I know.
It was a goal for this year, and I was like, I need to go live more. And I started it, and I'm like, I need to do more because I know that's where people want you. They want you going live and on video. And sometimes I be so into the work or dealing with the kids, and I'll be like, I don't want to go live right now, but I promise y'all, I'm gonna go live.
Yeah, same
some
here.
Good stuff is coming, so I'm definitely going live so I can tell you guys about it, so y'all can share in the little wins, because anything, it could be as small as somebody gave me a great comment today. Like, you celebrate those little wins, and you celebrate just as well as you celebrate the big ones.
That's good. That's good. I know everybody watching and listening got so much from this episode. I know I did. Thank you. And I'm getting so much more because you're on my team for the Poet Life Fest, July 24th, and just to witness your greatness, and to be a benefactor of it is an awesome thing. And so if you are in the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area around July 24th, it's a Saturday, it's going to be an awesome event, all day event, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it's going to be different. It's going to be very unique, and you don't want to miss it. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. I'm trying to tell you, you can see our enthusiasm right now, and you'll start to see more and more promotion for the fest. But the best part about it is it's really not about that event. Like, that event is going to be the catalyst for so much more, and it's also an example. We're explaining to you that you're more than your poems. Like, we're doing a poetry festival. Like, that's huge. You know what I mean? Not to, pat backs and things of that nature, but we're just giving you examples of the height that you can take your art.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, that's I want that to come across clearly,
Yeah, we want more people to do more of that. We want that to be, even if you can't you just do a mini fest, do a gather. Like, it needs to be more. Like, we in the DC area, if you're from here, DC, Maryland, Virginia, you know about Bus Boys and Poets.
Right.
But it's always has been a phenomenal place to go and do open mic. But like I said, we're trying to keep it going, because the same way DC, has go-go, we have a huge poetry scene here as well, and even beyond. And we're wanting to build that community and share that. So like I said, if you tap into what we're doing early and get in the Facebook page and go into the group that we'll have set aside for the Poetry Life Fest, then we're going to be asking you guys, like, what you want to see. We're going to be asking you guys questions, and, we definitely are going to be waiting for your feedback, so we know, like, this is what they want to see when they come. We can't promise we'll be able to do everything, but we can try to figure out, obviously, what you guys want to do and what to see when you come down here. So I'm ready.
Awesome. That's so awesome. Look, we could stay on this thing all night. I'm used to and known for like continuing the conversation for another 30 minutes. So I'm gonna just end it here. I'm telling you, and allow you to get some rest. It's 10:40 at night.
Yes.
And I know you got the young ones. They're still awake because you said you're gonna let them stay up as long as you up. So
yeah, they got to stay up while mommy was on her podcast. So I made a deal. I was like, don't come in and bother me. I got the door closed, you guys. I'm like, don't come in and bother me. But you can stay up. So yeah. Let me go put these youngins to bed. I can't wait for them to get out of school in 15 days. Hallelujah.
I'm telling you, for sure. Listen, everybody, it's the Poet Life Podcast. If you want more information about everything that we're doing, go to thepoetlife.com. I put it down at the bottom of the screen, thepoetlife.com. And trust me when I tell you, you want to be there if you can. We'll afterwards we'll post some videos and some photos, but you don't want to miss it. If you're going to be in the DC area, Poet Life Fest, I was going to say Poet Life Podcast, the Poet Life Fest on July 24th is going to be absolutely amazing. And we're very excited about it because it's just the beginning. But everybody have a good night. Miss Tiffany, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
To our meetings and things of that nature. For sure. Thank you for coming on. Everybody else, have a great night and check out the rest of our episodes. It's the Poet Life Podcast. We're out.
Peace.
Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way, find a way. Ain't got no time now. You in the way.